Theatrical Shenanigans with
Sam Heyman.
Hello there, and welcome to another brand new episode of this fourth season on Theatrical Shenanigans with me, your host, Rachel Feeney Williams. I hope you're all well and are looking forward to another play and another guest to listen to. My guest today made his debut on Theatrical Shenanigans as a panellist on the panel Presents back in October 2023, before going on to be a featured playwright in our third season of mini shenanigans with his play Sensories. His play To Necessary Ends was then also featured in our Play a Day special back in February. Outside of that, he's a queer Jewish writer and former educator based in Nashville. He studied English with a concentration in creative writing and queer studies before going on to cultivate his writing further. In 2022, he was selected as a playwriting fellow for the Lambada Literary Writers Retreat for Emerging LGBTQ Voices, and several of his short plays have received readings and productions across the country, so a very busy man. It's thrilling to have him here again. Welcome back, Sam Heyman.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's thrilled to have you here. So, as always, we start at the very beginning. What got you
Mhm.
started in the arts world?
Yeah, so I've been writing things since I was very young. I loved writing from a very young age, but I got into playwriting after, well, really during college. It was when I started writing plays. And before that, I had mostly written fiction and I'd done comics and I'd done all sorts of different ways of telling stories, but playwriting really I latched on to and fell in love with it. And in the past, I would say 5-ish years, I've kind of reconnected with playwriting after spending time working on other things and joined some playwriting groups online and got on New Play Exchange. And it's been off to the races since then.
Mhm. But you've attended many different conferences and retreats. What kind of experiences were those, and do they find they helped or?
Yeah, honestly, each one has been such a fabulous addition to my development as a playwright.
Mm.
Some of them have given me the opportunity to meet playwrights who've been working in the field for a lot longer than me, and I've been able to have different conversations. And some of them, like the Valdez Theater Conference I got to go to a couple years ago in Alaska, I just got to see such a high caliber of work that I would not have been exposed to otherwise, just not having as much access to it
Mm.
and seeing just a high density of really quality readings done by fabulous actors. And these plays are in development, but they're often really far along when they get to that point. Really helped kind of unlock things in my mind of how can I approach relationships and conflict and resolution in ways that have more nuance and poignancy. So every retreat, every conference and thing that I've gotten to go to has just enabled me to feel more inspired and more kind of motivated to get better as a writer.
Mm.
There's the networking element of it, but there's also just the exposure to all this fabulous work that
Mm.
getting to hear productions of it and you're like, oh, I know that person. I've talked to them. They've given me feedback or we've exchanged kind of dramaturgy support. It's a very different world than I had with fiction, where I may have had friends that I made in a workshop and we really liked each other's writing, but I feel like fiction writers can be a little bit more guarded and private about their work until it's published.
Mm.
And then at that point, you haven't really had a hand in helping it develop. Like they make their decisions about who is exposed to their work while it's still kind of germinating and taking shape. And playwrights, I feel like that culture development is just such a huge part of it
Mm.
that you're going to see a work in progress and it may get a reading, it may even get a production, and it may change. And that's not out of the question.
Mm. No, definitely. Um, on the back of that, as a playwright, who would you say, if anyone, inspires you?
Inspires me. So many people inspire me. I have a laundry list of people that inspire me. Um, I mean, as a playwright, a lot of the plays that I've read in the past few years have been through New Play Exchange. So there's people like Scott Sickles and Philip Middleton Williams who have been doing this for a lot longer than me, but are also queer playwrights that engage with LGBT characters. And then I have playwrights that are kind of on a similar journey to me, but maybe you're just at it on a slightly different path. Gillian Blevins is another Jewish playwright who inspires me daily with the type of work that she does, and she's seeing a lot of success. And I've loved every piece I get to read of hers. There's a We both got into Valdez a couple of years ago, and her play The Bed Trick is getting a production in Chicago this year.
Mm.
Um, and just getting to see that piece from kind of a submission and like, oh, this gets in. Let's read each other's work to getting to see it staged and getting produced. And it just pushes me to want to get to that level. So I'm constantly trying to figure out how I can push my things further, but some of these playwrights are just so inspiring to me.
Well, I can say as a playwright, you have a wonderful collection of work. Is there a particular genre or topic you prefer to explore, or is it just a little bit of everything?
Yeah, I often write characters that are queer in some way. I've definitely had periods where my writing is directly inspired by things that I'm thinking about, things that I've experienced. Yeah, identity is a big part of it, coming of age, kind of like affirmation of relationships. I feel like a lot of the writing that I have, like I might have a really supportive parental relationship, or there's something with someone in a romantic situation where there's affirmation. And I think that I like writing those characters because I feel like I'm writing for not just for myself, but for anyone who is in need of that voice.
Mm.
Um, and it's not necessarily because I haven't had that in my life, but I just understand the value of having that kind of affirmation that not it's not always an everyday thing. It's not an everyday occurrence. It can be special, but when you make it into a story, when you make it into a narrative, it can have a different kind of power.
Mm. But
Mhm.
if all of that wasn't enough, you also organize a play reading series as well. What made you decide that was chaos you wanted to open up for yourself?
Yeah, so a couple years ago, I was realizing I loved getting to share 10-minute plays in progress and get to like hear them out loud and talk about them with other writers. And I was really yearning for a forum, and I felt like a lot of other people were as well. I mean, if all the retreats and all the conferences and festivals that we're submitting to and how competitive those are is any indication, people, we want our plays read. We want to hear them. We want to be able to get actors in a room and make something happen.
Mm.
And it it kind of fell to me in the playwriting group that I'm most involved with, Playwrights Thriving. I just decided, you know what? I think I would like to make this happen. I've organized events. I've put together readings for myself, kind of self-producing my own work, at least in like a virtual sense. And
Mm.
I decided if other people would be interested in making this happen or having this happen for their work, that I would be happy to step into that and use my networking skills. But doing a reading series where you figure out who the scripts are going to be and coordinate with the playwright, the cast, all of that was stuff that a couple of years ago I didn't have significant experience doing, but I just wanted to do it. And so I took it upon myself to try, and it's been really successful. Playwrights have gotten a lot out of it.
So what's next for you? Do you have an idea or maybe a dream of what you want the rest of the year to look like?
And so there's a lot of things that are going to be coming down the pipeline in terms of acceptances, and whether it's for a conference or a retreat or a festival. Um, in the immediate future, I'm doing a novel intensive kind of 6-month workshop with my local writers collective, The Porch. So I have a novel that I've been working on for a couple of years that I'm wanting to kind of get in query ready shape. So I'm doing kind of not necessarily a final round of revision, but just kind of a let's polish this, let's get this really in the shape that I want it to be before I start shopping it around to agents. So that's something that I'm doing just for myself. Um, when it comes to things on the horizon, I'm just kind of keeping tabs on my own kind of personal output and input goals. I'm trying to read a lot more.
Mm.
It's just to kind of cultivate that, not just reading on MPX where it's kind of the social thing, but also just reading novels by people I don't know. So a lot of that is kind of on the horizon for me, but that class is going to be probably my biggest ongoing writing project that I'm going to try to whittle away at for over the next 6 months.
Definitely plenty to keep you busy. Um,
Yes.
So, lastly, and it's pretty much always the most tricky, do you have a standout moment? A moment that makes you think, yeah, this is why I do what I do?
So I had a couple different readings and things in the past year that I didn't get to see. Or I got to see a reading of it, a recording, but I didn't get to go there in person to see it.
Yeah.
And I had, I think last February, in like the span of 2 or 3 weeks, I had gotten invited to a retreat for queer playwrights here in the United States. I got a play into the Lanford Wilson New American Play Festival, and it was I never had that quick succession of success for playwriting, at least since I really started. I was like, oh, I kind of I'm expecting one acceptance a year. And then last year just really made me feel like, oh, I'm gaining momentum. It's not such a pipe dream or such a far-fetched idea that my play will get accepted. Someone might reach out to me and request. I had a couple rights requests in the fall that actually came together. I had a 10-minute play that got produced by a student theater organization that I got to see that recording, and that was fabulous. So I would say the past year has been a big kind of moment, but in terms of that standout, I honestly think back to last February. I got an email and it was good news, and that's not always the case for playwrights. We get a lot of rejections, and it's nice when we get those acceptances.
From guests, we now move on to talk about our playwright and play for this episode. David James was born and raised on the Third Coast, Michigan, and has published several books. As a playwright, he's had more than 30 of his one-act plays produced in the US and Ireland. After working in higher education for 45 years, James retired to a two-light town and says he is loving it. James's play today is called The Big Decision. Jessie is dead, and if all that wasn't galling enough, she is now having to concern herself with making a choice that will affect her afterlife for all eternity. Theatrical Shenanigans presents The Big Decision by David James.
You want coffee?
No thanks. Caffeine's a drug.
You?
Yes, sure. Sorry, no. I'm still a little confused.
That's to be expected at a time like this.
Yeah, what she means is, you're in between right now. Don't know whether you're going up or down.
You're not the first, and you won't be the last.
So, what happens now?
Do you like bonfires? Big roaring flames?
Objection.
What?
Leading the witness.
I asked a simple friggin' question. Get off your high horse.
You're not playing by the rules.
Rules, schmools. There were no rules down here.
What are you two talking about?
We can't lead you on.
Look, you're under oath, lady. Answer the stupid question. Bonfires, yes or no?
Don't answer that.
You're getting on my nerves, you know that?
That's my job.
Where am I?
You're at a way station. You died.
Horribly, I might add.
And you have 3 days to choose.
Choose what? You guys are pulling my leg.
If you had legs.
How she died is not the issue here. You're not playing fair.
Whoever said death was fair?
Well, I'm honouring the guidelines set up for the process. It states clearly in section 29.5...
What the hell is going on?
Now we're getting somewhere.
Excuse me. What is your name?
Jessie.
Jessie. That sounds like Jesus in a way.
Objection.
Sustained. Jessie, you have to choose between heaven, me, and hell. Him.
What do you mean, choose? Is this some kind of kinky shit?
Yes. Well, this is going well.
Will you shut up? No, there's no trick here. You're one of those people whose record could go either way. It's like the flip of a coin. Half good, half bad.
I was never bad.
Let's see. Let me consult the book. Remember the final exam in econ, sophomore year? Answers on the left palm.
Yeah, but...
There are no buts in the eyes of God.
Denver? Molly's cat? True Value Hardware. Your mother's gold necklace. Ooh, the boys' soccer team?
Okay. Stop.
I love that part.
Hey, you had your good moments too, or else you wouldn't be here. Now you are one of the select few who get to choose. Do you want heaven or hell?
Or hell or heaven. But before you choose, you need to ask a few questions. You don't want to make a decision like this without information, right? It's a pretty big decision.
I guess.
So ask away. That's why we're here.
I don't know where to begin.
Take your time. You have 3 days. And we can't help you with the questions. That's in the rules.
Okay. Give me one good reason why I should go to hell.
Oh, there are so many. It's hard to pick just one. Let me think. Marshmallow roasting? Nah. Ambient lighting? No. Hot red jumpsuits? Oh, I got it. You get to laugh all the time.
Laugh?
Oh, yeah. It's a riot because we make fun of all the stupid things people do up on Earth. You can't believe it. I mean, I'm on the floor begging for mercy. It's so funny. This guy once, I'll never forget this, made a video of himself banging a whore at his bachelor's party and then mistakenly showed it to his wife on their honeymoon. I mean, the whole second sector was busting up, laughing for days.
Ugh, I can't believe you guys.
What?
Pleasure at the expense of someone's misery.
Don't give me that. You laugh when someone slips and falls on the ice. Slapstick, man. It's the superiority theory of humor, for your information. We laugh at the weakness of another, as Plato said. Plato's in hell, by the way.
That's where he belongs. Poet hater.
And what's the best reason for going to heaven?
Besides the music, the scenery, and the incredible library, I'd say the food.
What?
You name it, we've got it. Chinese, all-you-can-eat fish, barbecues, quiche, pecan pies, lasagna, some of the best French pastry chefs of all time. Every night there's a different theme. African, Icelandic, Mexican, tropical. We even have 2 Starbucks.
Wow.
But there's a catch. Come on, truth in advertising.
Well, since technically we're dead, we're not really that hungry.
No appetite. Nada. Nothing.
But hey, we can still eat. It looks too good not to. And you never gain weight. Not bad, eh?
Don't know.
That's why we're here. To help.
So, in heaven, can people fly?
Well, we have transporters from cloud to cloud, but actual flying with wings? Not exactly. That's mostly a myth.
And isn't it hot in hell? All that fire and stuff.
It's a minor inconvenience. You get accustomed to the weather. It's no different than Florida in July. Cleans out your pores.
As if you have any skin left.
What was that?
My friend here is failing to tell you about the crossover.
I was going to tell her.
Sure. To get to hell, you have to cross over the walls of fire. 90% of your skin gets burned off in the process. Your bones, mostly.
You don't need flesh anyway. You're dead.
Does it hurt?
Not at all.
And what about Satan?
Oh, he's a genius. Like a sunburned Dave Chappelle with horns. Hilarious. Oh, got a real dry sense of humor. Yeah, I think you'll like him.
This is harder than I thought. I love to eat and I love to laugh. What's the downside to hell, besides the complete removal of skin parts?
Downside? It's hard to see any downside.
There's got to be something people don't like. It's called hell for a reason, I presume.
Oh, Jesus, this is hard. Okay, it's one of these two. 1, we never get ice cream for dessert, or 2, Celine Dion is the only music played. Lucifer has a real thing for her. I think it's unhealthy, really.
And heaven? The downside?
Athlete's foot.
What?
That's got to be it. Since we're in clouds, everyone's barefoot. You get that many people walking on the same clouds and bam, it's going to happen sooner or later. Athlete's foot. Oh, but God gives out free medication.
What happens if I don't choose?
What?
What if I can't decide? What happens?
You stay here, I guess.
No one's ever done that before.
I need more time. This is such a big decision. I'm not used to making decisions. My husband did that. This is for eternity, right?
Yep.
And that's a long time.
It grows on you.
Maybe I could help you two with the in-betweeners. You know, present a third opinion, an outside view, somebody for people to talk to, someone with nothing to gain or lose. You guys get a commission or something, right?
It's a pretty decent incentive plan, but the 401k sucks.
I'll do it for free. You can present your cases and people can bounce ideas off me. Someone like them. I can consult, brainstorm.
I don't know.
Oh, this is definitely not in the instruction manual.
I could watch the shop. You guys could take a break. Play some cards.
Yeah, how do we know if we can trust you?
You'd be right here. You'd hear me. If you think I'm doing anything wrong, you can object. Give me a couple of weeks. Please? Please?
I'm not sure this is legal. When I read Article 2 here, it says...
Jesse, could you give us a minute? Clarence, what's wrong with this idea?
I don't know. I can't think of anything.
I'll tell you right now, it would be nice to have a day off every century or so.
I haven't seen my husband in 89 years.
Damn, this could work. I mean, she seems fair enough.
Just the right amount of ambivalence.
Well, it might be nice to have a woman's touch in here for a change. Hell, let's give it a try then.
I never thought we'd agree on anything. It just goes to show you, God works in mysterious ways.
Yeah, whatever. Jesse, hey, we've decided to let you stay for 2 weeks.
Great. You won't regret it.
But you can't persuade people to go either way. That's not your job. You're just a sounding board.
A non-biased ear.
Without intention. A voice of reason. Is that clear?
I got it. Thanks, guys.
This will give you 14 days to decide for yourself.
Up or down. 2 weeks.
That'll help, really, I'm sure. I can't thank you enough. You know, I've been thinking, if we moved these chairs over here, it might look more inviting. Maybe put a couch against the wall. Can you get me any paint? This wall, fire engine red. And that wall, sky blue. What do you think? We need to brighten this place up. Whose shoes are those, anyway? You know, I'm going to need my own room. By the way, where's the bathroom? Do you guys care if I...
Well, that's one way around having to make the decision. That was George Shapiro as Dante, Fiona Leishman as Jessie, and Andrea Richardson as Clarence in The Big Decision by David James. Sam, what did you think?
I really enjoy kind of the back and forth between Dante and Clarence and how they're kind of vying for points. I noticed that whenever Jesse would use a swear word or something, that Dante would be like, ooh, that's kind of like, I like it where this is going, because there's the tipping the scales of morality that they're trying to get both Jesse to make a decision and also to kind of figure out, what's the right fit for this person who ends up kind of taking a third route, which is always delightful when we get that twist in a story like this.
It's a decision that no one in their right mind would ever wish to have to make in the first place. So the fact that you already have this moment of where on earth is this going to go, and instead of being 1 or 2, this 3 just comes out of nowhere, and it's brilliantly done.
I liked how Jesse kind of was indecisive and kind of like, wishy-washy, like, oh, what can you tell me about this? Like, not really sure. You would think that there would be a clear choice of where you would want to go.
Yeah.
And then it ends up that, like, after deciding I'm going to be in the middle of the road and I'm just going to be someone impartial, I'll just help this people talk through this, think through this, but then starts making all these decisions of like, oh, we need to paint this color, this wall this color, and this wall this color, that, like, once Jesse is in a place to call any amount of shots, immediately jumps into it. which if you don't have to make the what am I going to do for the rest of my life and I am in control of my own destiny, like, that makes a lot of sense that would be where she would go.
And I also love the fact that you have the stereotypical images of heaven and hell, the white fluffy clouds and the roaring inferno. Never at any point have I thought of the image of hell and thought about marshmallow roasting or ambient lighting or people in red hot jumpsuits, and I'm just like, this is a very different view of hell and then again of heaven. And I love the fact that he's just kind of completely thrown away all the stereotypes and gone, let's make this a difficult decision.
And not to mention little details like the devil only plays Celine Dion music. There's those delightful little surprises in the script. The world building, I think, was what I really appreciated the most about this play.
And the imagery that it creates for you as well, because obviously you're in the in-between and you can obviously, if it was live, see that for yourself, but then you conjure up all these wonderful images of what hell and heaven actually look like. So the incredible buffet that nobody eats.
Hmm.
The fact that Dante describes hell as it's no different to Florida in July.
Yeah.
And you just, and it's wonderful because you can almost build the images if you close your eyes, you can see it for yourself.
Hmm. Yeah, and people are going to have their own associations with heaven and hell, but I think that like as people have progressed in their thinking about these concepts,
Mm,
there's kind of this idea that like, oh, something that is like everything's nice and everything's perfect can feel kind of sterile and can
mm.
feel kind of like, well, there's nothing to strive for. There's nothing like you have everything. So there's nothing to yearn for. Desire isn't a part of it. And as much as sometimes we would think, oh, hell is this place of torment and torture, it's also probably where a lot of the cool fun people are. So it's not just doom and gloom and fire and flames. It could also be a party. So
Yeah, and I love the whole I love the fact that it comes with its own sort of bureaucracy as well. The fact that Clarence mentions the rules and the articles a couple of times, and also when Jesse's trying to convince them that she should stay, they talk about this as though it's an actual job. That they have benefits and a
yeah.
401k, and you just think of all the things that you imagine this kind of thing being a calling, not a job.
Hmm. And the fact that they need to have a 401k in the afterlife, and
Yeah.
that like for them, this is just their very long life, but it is not the end. They eventually would retire, and what does that look like? But it's
Hmm.
not necessarily the focus of the play, but it's these little details that the playwright has put in that I feel like add texture to a story that I feel like could be very familiar and could in fact be generic, and this is very much not.
Yeah, there's loads of stuff that you consider that's not in the scene itself, but is described. So the elements of Jessie's life where she wasn't as good as she claims to be, like
Hmm.
how she got here in the first place, how Dante and Clarence got this job, where, as you say,
Yeah.
where they go when they retire. So
Hmm.
it's a wonderful scenario in itself because it is so out there compared to the stereotypical images of heaven and hell that we have, but
Hmm.
it's also got the ability to just let your imagination run amok with the world that exists around this one particular scene.
And I think that that's a really fantastic quality of really good 10-minute plays is that,
Mm,
and one act plays in general, that you are building a world of the play, but we're only seeing this frame, this slice of that life.
mm.
And I think that when a playwright can kind of indicate, oh, there's more to this world, but we're just seeing this snapshot, it does make you want more, but I think that the play is almost stronger by not giving us all of those things that we want.
Yeah,
I think that it's a really clever way to kind of get ourselves out of the story at the end. That we get a little bit of, okay, now this character is kind of off to the races. Now they've really found their calling of being the middle of the road person who also calls all the shots.
mm. Yeah,
So yeah, I thought it was really well kind of constructed, both as a piece, but also the world that it created.
yeah, definitely. And I also love the fact that the subtext of it. So like in a lot of times in life, we are given choices of, you have to choose A or you have to choose B.
Mhm.
And Jesse has kind of gotten away with what a lot of us wish we could do. We
Mhm.
want to pull the option three out of thin air and just make it all okay and make it work for everyone. Sometimes
Mhm.
it doesn't work, but I love the fact that it has done here.
Mhm. Yeah, it very much could have been like, oh, we get Jesse on some technicality and like we make the decision for her, but in this case, she kind of has that agency to propose a potential solution that is not what either of them expected. And
Mm.
it's also not what we expect as an audience. Be like, oh, surely we're gonna learn something about this character that's going to be so damning, or they're gonna finally realize, you know what, heaven's the right way to go. But I think that we're kind of beyond this like moralistic way of telling stories that like the way that it ends is like, and this is how you should think, and this is how you should feel. Like, no, this
Yeah.
is this character, and this is this scenario. And I really liked how that wrapped up.
It's a gorgeous example of how free will does work. Like, we can scope beyond the immediate decisions that we think are open to us. Okay, we are almost out of time. Sam, your final thought on the piece as a whole.
I think this is a really imaginative piece that I think is going to appeal to a lot of audience members. I think it could definitely be not a radio play, but I think that it also works very well in the audio medium. I really enjoyed this piece, and I hope more people get to listen to it.
Definitely. Okay, we are out of time. Sam, thank you so much for being here and discussing this fabulous play with me.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm glad to do it.
That is all the time we have for today. Thank you, as always, to our playwright David, my performers George, Andrea and Fiona, and of course the delightful Sam for his chat. If you're out there enjoying the show, then please remember to tell us about it on Facebook, Instagram, or one of the many platforms the podcast can be heard on. We'll be back in 2 weeks with the next episode, so I hope you can join us then. But in the meantime, though, I've been Rachel Feeney Williams. This is Theatrical Shenanigans, bringing down the curtain and saying, I hope you can join us next time. Theatrical Shenanigans is part of an RFW Scripts production, found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, and Podbean. Theme music is written and produced by Chris Cody.